Welcome to Matchday Live. And you can see the squad arriving there at Molineux for today's 12:30 kickoff against Wolverhampton Wanderers. And for the second Premier League game in a row, we take the trip to the West Midlands after of course, that draw with Aston Villa last time out. We will be hoping to get back to winning ways in the Premier League as we have done in our last two Champions League games. Now, joining me in the studio today, two men. We've had a pretty decent record against Wolves. If you remember the last time out, Kevin De Bruyne scored 4 goals against them. One of these men has scored lots and lots of goals. I don't think 4 against Wolves, though, but we will find out. Very big welcome to Paul Dickov, and we're joined also by Steven McInerney. Good afternoon, gents. Lovely to see you both. Happy to be back in the Premier League today, Steven?
Excited. I haven't scored any against Wolves, though, personally, but I'm sure Paul scored a few more than me anyway. But
I think I've got 4 goals my whole career, so...
You did. You did not.
Important ones, you know.
You did not. You had we love you. Yeah. Stop it.
Yes.
So, 2 brilliant wins in the Champions League, but of course back in the Premier League today. Paul, nice to be back. Hoping to get back to winning ways today.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think important before the international break as well. You know, I know last weekend the fixtures, rightly so, were probably all called off, and there's a few teams not playing this weekend. So, you know, if we can replicate the win we got there last year, going into the national break in a really strong position.
So that you've been on the show this season, Paul, but only once so far. You haven't been on the show. You're making your appearance, Steven, since your last time out, which was on that Aston Villa game on the last day of the season. I feel like we might have given you enough time to come back down to earth.
Just about. Yeah, to be honest, I probably should have ended it there, really, shouldn't I? That was like peak moment, really, and being on Matchday Live. But yeah, that was incredible. And I kind of don't want that today, if I'm being honest, Nat. I want something a lot more straightforward today, you know, something easier, because my heart couldn't take it. I aged about 20 years during there, several more greys, and no, I don't need that again. But today, hopefully, should be not quite as dramatic, though. Though City this season have already had a penchant for comebacks already, so who knows? We'll see, I guess.
And what have you made of the season so far for us?
I've absolutely loved it. I've really enjoyed it. I think it's been fun, entertaining, interesting. It's felt really fresh as well. Seeing all these new players come in, I think it was necessary for one. Like, you have to mix it up every now and then, because dressing rooms can get stale. You can get familiar and so on. But seeing Haaland come in, he's just the most entertaining footballer I've seen in an awful long time. It's not just his on-field exploits, it's his antics off the pitch as well. Everything about him is just pure brilliance and entertainment. And then, of course, the excitement of feeling Alvarez and seeing Calvin Phillips and Akanji and Sergio Gomez. I really enjoyed it. I feel like the squad feels different. It feels alive. And I think the football has been great as well. So far, I think it's been a brilliant start.
So this is the first place, as always, that you will get your team news. We will be giving you that in 2 minutes. But I tell you what, don't tell anybody I told you, but... There's Jack Grealish. He's having a look around the pitch, and he is in the starting 11 today. I'll give you the full team in 1 minute and 50 seconds. Paul, Jack Grealish, I think, you know, if there's one man in our team that's got a lot of focus on him, even probably, you know, more than Erling Haaland in terms of people commenting on his performances since he joined, I would say it is that man. What have you made of his start of his second season with City?
Yeah, I think Jack's done well. You know, it really winds me up, because he's an easy target for a lot of people, you know, and they're all talking about his last couple of performances. They tend to forget, they don't do their research. He was injured before that, you know, and it's going to take him a little bit of time to get back into it. They talk about his goals and assists and everything else. The biggest thing for Jack Grealish is what Pep said in the press conference yesterday, was that he's more than happy with him, and the fact that he's starting again today shows that. He's doing a fantastic job for the team. Pep's always on about keeping the ball, not rushing things and keeping possession. Jack does that all the time. And I think he's a fantastic player. He's a great character, and I'm absolutely buzzing to see him in the starting line-up today, and desperate for him to do well.
Oh, me too. I feel exactly the same. I'm really pleased to see him in the team today. Stephen, do you think it's often a case of just people are used to seeing what he did at Aston Villa, whereas coming into this team, the way he's got to play is different. It is very different. It's
also harder playing for Manchester City than it is for Aston Villa. Jack himself said it, that he thought, you know, his numbers would rocket when he came to Manchester City because he'd get more touches of the ball. But you're defending, you're playing against the teams who are defending with everyone behind the ball, and it's just not easy to find that space. And look, not much came off for him against Dortmund, but he was really aggressive. He was running at the defender, you know, trying to get his shots away, and I think Pep appreciated that. And eventually, with the quality that he's got, if he keeps doing that, he's going to get goals and assists. It is going to happen because he's got too much quality. And as Paul was saying as well, he hasn't played too much football, you know, recently because of injuries and so on. But he does have that innate quality, and that will shine eventually. And he's shown bits of it as well already. And I do think he brings something a little bit different to the team as well. The way that he retains the ball. It's like, I think he'll show his best, and I think it's coming very soon.
Yes.
The biggest thing as well for Jack. The biggest thing is that Pep's picking him.
Yeah.
He can ignore everybody else. And what they're saying and shut all that out. As long as Pep keeps picking him, he's doing something right. Pep's
picking him and Pep's saying very good things about him. And he is in the starting 11 today. And here is the rest of that team for our game against Wolves. So the starting 11 for today, 3 changes from the team that beat Dortmund in the week. And it is Ederson, Stones, Diaz, Akanji, Cancelo, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, KDB, Foden, Haaland and Jack Grealish. So that is your starting 11 for today. And your subs bench: Ortega, Carson, Walker, Ake, Gundogan, Alvarez, Gomez, Mahrez and Palmer. So 3 changes from the team that beat Dortmund midweek in the Champions League. So, gents, straight away, first opinion on that team as soon as you saw it, Stephen, what do you think?
It's a really good team. It's a really good team full of excellent players. I think it's an excellent team. I think it's got the right balance as well. What we need is control, but there's also energy. And I think, given how, I'm sure we'll get onto Wolves in a bit, but Wolves are incredibly good defensively. I think you need a little bit of vibrancy in that team as well. And you get that with Foden and Bernardo in particular coming back in. We saw the energy that they brought to the pitch when they came on the other day. And I think it's great. And I'm looking forward to seeing Kanji as well in the Premier League. That'll be fun, Probably a little bit unlucky for Ake because he's been so good, but then the collection of defenders that we've got, no one's going to argue with Ruben Diaz coming back into the team, but that's a really strong team, and it's more than enough to get the 3 points today, hopefully.
I feel like, Paul, last season we used to spend a lot of time, we'd have Ederson, we'd have the back four, we'd have Rodri, and then we used to spend a lot of time talking about the other 5 and what position, where are they going to play, whereas I feel like it's reversed this season, and we're looking at the defence each game and we're thinking, well, who's playing where? So I think, is it fairly obvious today, where do you think each, is it Stones, Cancelo, what side?
Yeah, John Stones will be right back, I would imagine. Cancelo left back, and then obviously I've been super impressed with Akanji since he's come in.
It's good, isn't it?
He's been fantastic, considering he was only in the club a couple of days. And they made his debut at Seville and just looked as if he'd been here for a good few seasons. And then we all know Rodri's going to sit in front of the back 4 with Bernardo and Kevin in front of them, although Bernardo is everywhere. There's no set position. He's the energy levels he brings. He made such a difference the other night there when he came on, and Jack always plays in the left, be filling the right, coming in his left foot, and then the big man up front.
He's all right, isn't he? He's all right,
He's done not too bad.
We will be giving you the Wolves team news in a minute as well. You might have just seen on the screens there Diego Costa arriving at Molineux. He is not in the squad today, but we will give you the full Wolves team. We'll have a good chat about him a little bit later on. In terms of that man, Erling Haaland, it just keeps getting better and better, Paul. And do you know what? I'm quite happy to talk about him every single game.
I'm running out of things to say, though. That's the thing, he's just... I messaged Alfie the other day there and just said, your son's a freak. And I meant that in the nicest possible way.
It's true, though. It's true.
Just, the other night there, the goal that he scored is just... There's no other player on the planet that could have done that.
I agree.
And I don't know what yous were like when I was in the stadium watching it. I jumped up, but everybody around us was just like, wow, how has he done that? Even this one here, most players would head that.
Look how high he is. Yeah, it's insane.
They would head that, but he's just... away from his goal scoring and everything else.
So this is that goal, Paul, that you're talking about. When I first seen it, I think everybody went, oh, wow, first of all. And then it was like, how high is his leg there and how hard is that?
I would dislocate my hip if I tried. Well, I wouldn't get that high in the first place, but he's so flexible for somebody so tall and strong as well. And the thing is, it defies everything because he should go for that with his head or his right foot as it's coming across him, not his left foot. And he's tried it a couple of times already this season. And what I absolutely love about him is, as a centre forward, when he's making runs and he's not getting the ball, there's no petulance with him. Centre forwards are selfish. They want to get the ball every time. They want to score every time. But he makes runs and he doesn't get it. And there's no waving his arms. There's no letting his head go down. There's no frustration. You just look at him. I know Alfie couldn't have done that. I'll tell you that right now. But there's no petulance about him at all. He's just got this thing that, you know what, I'm going to get a chance and I'm going to score. I've not got the ball this time, but next time I get it, I'm going to score, and if I don't get it then, I'll get it at some point. And that mentality for somebody so young is just sensational. And you put that together with his ability, with his pace, with his size, with his strength. It's just, honestly, he's a freak.
I get to the point now where we've all been watching football for a long time, but some people are so good that you want to turn the TV on for them. I smile waiting for kick-off because Haaland's playing. He's that good. He's absolutely mesmerising. Like, once again, it's not just on the pitch. Everything about him, he has an aura, and he's captivating to watch and move, and the way that he approaches football. You get the sense that he's doing the most natural thing in the world for him. Like, he genuinely couldn't be doing anything else any better. And I love him. I love the way that he approaches the game. I love the way that he's different. He's unique. He's powerful. He has that strength to just go through people if he wants to. He has the touch to go past them. And the fact that he approaches chances like that with such a unique style, it's just something I've never seen before, full stop. And to me, the best players, the most exciting players are the ones that make you laugh out loud when they do something ridiculous. And he does that every single game without fail. I laugh. I just laugh. It's the only reaction to it. And I think we forget sometimes that fundamentally football is entertainment. And there's no more entertaining football in the world right now than Erling Haaland for me. He's phenomenal.
I know what you mean about mesmerising. I found myself recently, and I bet a lot of you have as well, watching videos on Twitter of him walking down the street in Manchester, and I'm mesmerised by him just walking down the street. He's an incredible away record as well. He scored in his first 3 away Premier League games. No one has ever scored in their first 4. Now, a man that did score 4 goals in this game at Wolves last season was, of course, Kevin De Bruyne. So, Kevin De Bruyne, the man, again, I can just talk about him over and over and over, Paul. I absolutely adore him. What have you made of his start to the season? Yeah,
look, he's the best midfielder in the world. Yeah. For me, full stop, and has been for the last couple of years. You know, I was at Molineux last season for this, and the first half performance is one of the best I've seen in the Premier League. Not just because of the goals they scored. We all know he ended up getting 4 goals in this game, but he just took the game to the scruff of the neck, and he was head and shoulders above everybody else. And look, Wolves, Molineux can be an intimidating place to go. And the Wolves fans applauded him off at half-time. So that just shows you how good he was and how good he is. And, you know, we all know when we've been struggling in games at times, especially last season, he just picks up the game, the scruff of the neck, and just takes it. And nobody can get anywhere near him. And, you know, the relationship with him, and I'll keep talking about Erling, is going to get better and better and better. And I think in that midfield 3, when he's got Bernardo with him as well, it gives him more space to get in the ball, you know, because Bernardo's here, there and everywhere. He's got the energy, and it lets Kevin get in the ball and dictate the game.
Now, a nice stat for you, Stephen. He needs just 2 assists to level Steven Gerrard's assist tally of 92 in the Premier League, so he's on 90 now. He's going to smash that soon, isn't he?
Absolutely, could do it today, knowing Kevin De Bruyne. Yeah, and deservedly so. I mean, it shouldn't really matter, but you like to see the players that we know are so brilliant get those little kind of landmarks, because it helps their kind of reputation a little bit, and you want to see people like Kevin De Bruyne get that credit that they deserve, because they're such fascinating footballers to watch. And I'm watching his goals right now, and just the quality of his overall finishing against Wolves last season. For 20 yards out with his left foot, his weaker foot for his hat-trick. It's just it's insanely good footballer. And I can't believe as well, going back to Haaland, like look how good Kevin De Bruyne is. There, someone's sort of taken away a little bit of his shine, and that's how good he has to be, Haaland, to take the limelight away from De Bruyne, and he's managed that somehow. So, but either way, just 2 phenomenal footballers.
Yeah, and I imagine Kevin's absolutely fine with that as well. He's absolutely fine with him taking any limelight away for him. Now, please, as always, if you would like to ask our guests any questions whatsoever, you can do so by using our WhatsApp number. It's on your screen now. You know that I like you to test them. We've had some really excellent questions lately, so do send them in about today's game, about tactics, about Paul's career, about Stephen's YouTube, whatever you want. That is your chance to ask our guest questions, and I will get through as many as I possibly can. Right, now we're going to take a little look now at the Wolves starting 11 for today's game. So, the Wolves team for today. It's Sarr in goal. And it is Otto, Collins, Kilman, Ait-Nouri, Neves, who is the captain, Nunes, Matinho, Guedes, top scorer Podence, and Neto. And you can see the subs there on the screen as well. So that is your Wolves starting 11 for today. Now, in In terms of Wolves there, Paul, who's sort of standing out for you there in terms of the danger that we need to be looking at?
Yeah, I like Neves in midfield and Coutinho. You know, they're technically very good, hard-working. Pedence up top, but Pedro Neto is a real threat. You know, he missed a lot of last season with an injury when he was looking to get to the heights that they thought he would. Technically very good, great skill, one-on-one. So, yeah, it'll be a tough game today. You know, Wolves defensively are really good. They do struggle scoring goals. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Oh, Paul, what have you done? What have you done?
But no, they're a good team, good manager, a lot of good technical players in there. Well organised, but it's nothing that we're not used to playing against. You know, there's no way they'll come out, even with them being at home, and go after us. You know, they'll sit in and look to hit us in the break, but we get that more or less every week.
So in terms of goals for Wolves, it has been scarce at both ends of the pitch this season. They've got the best defence in the league, Stephen. They've conceded just 4 goals, apologies, but they've also only scored 3 goals as well. So what does that sort of tell us immediately, you know, about their start to the season?
They're incredibly organised, Wolves. They're going to be really hard to break down, but they always have been, to be fair. They're a solid team, and it comes from the quality that they've got. I think a lot of it comes from midfield, if I'm being honest. You know, obviously they've got good defenders as well, but you know, Neves, Coutinho, there's so much experience there in the Premier League already, and Nunes is a new lad that Man City were linked to a few times actually as well. Another Portuguese player there, loads of ability, box-to-box midfielder. He seems to take it to life really well at Wolves, but they have lacked maybe a little bit of fortune in front of goal with Jimenez, you know, injuries and a lack of form, hence why they brought in Costa. But, you know, they have quality and they will eventually find a way to score some goals. Hoping it isn't today. I wouldn't be surprised because that's football. But, you know, the Wolves are a very tough team, and, of course, they've given us trouble before in the past. I'm really glad Adama Traore is not on the pitch today. That's a massive relief, of course. But overall, like, this is going to be a very physical, organised Wolves side, and we're going to have to be patient. But, you know, as Paul was saying, we're so used to that. There's nothing new there. They've slightly changed how they play. They're not a 3 at the back anymore. They often play 4 at the back, but it's still Wolves, and they're still structured, really nice with the ball, and tough defensively.
You mentioned Costa there. He isn't in the squad today. We wondered if he might have made the bench, but he isn't yet. There he is, though. He's arriving. He looks fairly happy. The fans look pretty happy to see him. I guess I feel like it's a no-lose situation for them, Paul. You know, I'm sure he'll get match fit and he'll be in the squad very soon. And, you know, it's been a free transfer for them. So it just feels like, why not take a chance?
And with his experience in the Premier League as well, you know, they have problems with Jimenez. Injuries up front, you know, long-term injuries as well. So, you know, he's not at a club. He's at a contract. They really do need an out-and-out number 9 because they're not scoring goals, as we just said. So, yeah, it's a no-brainer on both sides. And I'm looking forward to seeing him back in the Premier League, especially when, you know, when he's at his best and he was at Chelsea. He was horrible to play against, but, he was, you know, he was one of these, at that time, he was one of the best number 9s in the world, and one of these players that if he's in the opposition team, you hate him. But if he's in your team, you would love to have his team when he's at his best, you know. So, great signing for them. Just hope he can get himself fit and show us Diego Costa that we all know, because he has struggled fitness-wise, and you know he's fallen out with managers everywhere he's been. So maybe he can settle down a little bit and do a job for Wales.
And they brought him in towards the end of the transfer window because obviously they'd had that horrible injury. So they signed Kalajdzic, the 6'7" Austrian international, and then he got injured doing his ACL in the first half of the last. As soon as you hear that, your heart goes out, Stephen, because they've bought a new player. He's done that serious injury, and then they've had to go out, being forced into having to go straight back into the transfer market and try and find somebody at last minute, probably, and let's say free, probably because they spent the money on him.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's tough. It's really tough when you have a player, you know, that you pin your hopes on and you lose them so early on. It happens fairly regularly as well, doesn't it? It's unfortunate, but, you know, maybe, you know, fortune will shine on him a little bit, and maybe Costa is the guy. I mean, he could come in. Football has these tendencies for weird stories every now and then. They sign a new striker, they have to get an emergency signing in, Costa, and he comes in, he could be a superstar for them. So it could be that he gets fit, hopefully he does, and recovers his form, and they've got 2 great strikers. So, but it's a big shame for them. Big shame and a big loss. Literally 6'7", it's a huge loss.
A big loss, yeah, big loss. Absolutely loved the launch video that Wolves did on their social media. I don't know if you saw it with Diego Costa and the Wolves. And the Wolves. Loved it.
The only man who could tame them in the Midlands.
I know. Yeah, the Wolves didn't look scared, did they?
Brought him with him, you know.
Absolutely love that. So that was your Wolves starting 11 for today. And as a reminder, again, get those WhatsApp questions in. You can see the number on your screen now. So it is 3 changes from the team that beat Borussia Dortmund midweek in that Champions League game, our second Champions League game of this campaign, our first at home. And of course, we do have 6 points on the board so far. Lots of Dortmund connections that we had in the week. And of course, we can see Erling Haaland there speaking to some of his former teammates. What a result, Stephen, but what a strange game. I can't say for 80 minutes I found it particularly exciting, but all that matters is the 3 points.
It's always all that matters. It's always all that matters. You can't play wonderfully 60 games a season. It's not possible. And Dortmund, you know, they're a European giant. You know, they're hardly minnows, and they've got so much quality. And every now and then you will have to grind out a result. You know, we've seen it. It's in the history of Manchester City Football Club, like the most iconic moments, and this guy's involved in one of them. In our club, have come from where sometimes you've got to grind it out and you've got to make it happen. But we have got that side to us, and I personally prefer to look at it the other way. Like, I love the fact that the game is never over. You know, and we've got that fear factor because that can win you games on its own. Like, as soon as it went to 1-1, even though we didn't play well prior to that moment, as soon as we got that equaliser, I had absolutely zero doubts whatsoever. It's really weird. I'm not even just saying this. I knew we were going to win at that point, and that comes from obviously the quality that we got, but being able to seize the momentum. They were sharks, you know, circling, and they sensed weakness, and that's what happens. You get someone like Haaland there, he can whip in across, and he can do his freakish thing where he gets his foot dead eye and gets a winner out of nothing. And look at the players now, the Dortmund players. They must hate him but love him at the same time. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching us suffer, then finding a way to solve a problem again, because that to me is encouraging, because it shows you everything about these players that you need to know, that they are born winners, they have the mentality, and they know how to win football games.
Oh, I love seeing them all. You know, the relationship, obviously, that even though he's left, the relationship that he
seems lovely, doesn't he?
Has, he really, really does. So the first 45 minutes, not great, Paul. And then Borussia Dortmund come up and they score. But I'm the same as Stephen. I never for 1 second doubted that we weren't going to come back. I never for 1 second predicted that we might come back from this guy. Wow.
I love this. And you know what? I feel not sorry for him, but he scored probably one of the most spectacular goals he'll ever score in his career. And nobody's talking about it. They're all talking about Erling's finish. But delighted for him. You know, he's such a good guy, top player, playing out of position, and you know, it's like a...
It's Cancelo, isn't it, that?
Yeah,
what's he doing?
It was like a Vinny moment.
Yeah, don't shoot.
Everybody else is sort of saying, no, John, don't even think about it. And
well,
I'm not too sure about the goalkeeper, but...
No.
I say, let's not talk about the goalkeeper. Let's give it all to John.
That was disbelief, because he hit it that hard from there, and the keeper was absolutely shocked from it.
The keeper's probably thinking, there's no way John Stones is going to shoot it. And if he does, he's not going to get it in time.
Do you remember the last time that a defender had the ball and we all thought, don't shoot?
Yeah.
You mentioned, of course, Vincent Kompany there. So after that goal, this was my immediate memory.
Yeah.
The keeper hasn't got a chance on that one, I'll be honest.
Still get goosebumps watching.
Me too!
It was just iconic. I'm so glad he got that moment that he deserved. You know, that moment.
That was his last game at the Etihad, wasn't it, I think?
I can't say conviction, but it was one of the last games, not the last game.
I just had, as you said that part, I just got goosebumps all up my arm, because then it's the man, it's the goal, it was what it meant.
I always look at that guy up there who's just walking out right down the centre.
Oh,
that poor fella who missed that. It's incredible though, isn't it? But that is football, isn't it? And that's what I love about football, that he writes these little stories, and it's just absolutely immense.
I love it. And yeah, I mean, full credit to John Stones, I have to admit. When the goal went in, from where I was sat, I went, who scored that? who was it? And then when it came up John Stones, I was like, no way. Because like you say, Paul, he was playing in that unfamiliar right-back position as well. But I always love the fact that you feel like there's a goal everywhere on the pitch for us.
All over the pitch. And creative-wise as well. I mean, we've not even spoke about Cancelo's ball yet, and which was just ridiculous in itself. But really pleased for John. You know, he's getting a run of games. I think historically in his Man City career, once he gets 2 or 3 games, you end up seeing the best of him and playing out of position. You wouldn't realise it, you know. And he's such a great defender, good in the ball, and he's such a good lad as well, you know. And I was buzzing that he got his goal there.
Should we have a little look at that Cancelo pass? Because I do very much enjoy a Cancelo pass as well. So here he is, the bottom left hand. What is he doing? What is that? Like, how has he done that with from the outside of his boot?
I've not got a clue. Literally, it's just
Trivela, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just
Trivela.
The technique in doing that is just And you know what? If you're Dortmund here, you are delighted with the way you're defending.
Yeah.
We've got 2 players in the box.
There's nothing bad there, is he, defensively?
No,
He's tight to Haaland.
Defenders, and that ball is just perfect. But you know what? It's not a fluke. We've seen him do it before.
Look! Like, it's insane. Have you seen them talk about it on the Defender documentary?
It's Quaresma, isn't it? Ricardo Quaresma, the famous Portuguese winger, kind of made it his trademark, and he's just learned it. And he started doing it more since he mentioned it, actually.
It's a hard enough technique, but the precision just to drop it over the centre-half's head, it's just it's a perfect goal.
So we're going to have a good chat about Cancelo a little bit later on, because City released a phenomenal Joao Cancelo masterclass video this week that we're going to show you a little bit of as well. And then obviously, I feel like we don't even really need to talk any more about the goal. We all know how absolutely insane it is. I do wonder though, if his leg was above your head there.
Oh, easily. Easily. Yeah. You couldn't have put 2 of me up there jumping at the highest point, and I still wouldn't have got there in my head. And he's just done it with his leg.
Oh, I absolutely love it. And of course, phenomenal start for our man Erling Haaland, which has led to him being named the Premier League Player of the Month for August. I mean, I feel like there probably wasn't a huge amount of competition, despite the fact that some of these players had an incredible start to the season themselves. I mean, the other nominees, Gabriel Jesus, Odegaard, Mitrovic, Pope, Zaha, Rodrigo and Pascal Gross, who all had incredible starts to the season, but 10 goals in 6 games. He was always going to win it, wasn't he, Paul?
He was, and look, he's going to break all sorts of records, not just in the month of August. You know, you say as a benchmark for a striker, a top striker, you get 20, 25 goals a season.
He'll have that by November.
He's got 10 goals in 6 games. You know, and it's just, and he's still fitting into how we play. You know, I know he doesn't think he's at 40% yet, and that's the scary thing for everybody else. You know, he is still getting used to the way they play. His teammates are still getting used to the way he plays. And honestly, he's that confident in his own ability. He still feels he's got at least 50, 60% to go yet, which is frightening.
Just as a little note, we're going to talk about fantasy football a little bit later as well, but all of those ones that I named, I have them all, apart from Zaha, in my team, so that's probably why I'm doing so well, but you're doing better. We'll talk about that later.
I've not checked it for a while.
You are.
Don't
you are.
That one. I've
not
checked for
we will have a good old...
Come on. You know, it's just natural ability. I don't need to look at it, you know.
Paul Dickov's doing very well as well, by the way. We will show you one of our league tables a little bit later on as well. If you are joining us, thank you very much. Welcome to Matchday Live. Here is Manchester City's starting 11 for today's game against Wolves. So it is there, as you can see, Ederson, Stones, Diaz, Akanji, Cancelo, Rodri, KDB, Bernardo, Foden, Haaland and Grealish. So 3 changes to the team that beat Dortmund in the week there. That is your starting 11 for today's game. So, shall we have a little fantasy chat?
Go on then.
Go on then. Why not?
I feel like we have to now. We have to give this man his moment in the sun. Unless you obviously follow Stephen on Twitter, you'll see that he has been sharing the league table constantly. So if you are not in our Fantasy Premier League mini league, you can join us. We'd love to see you. So there is a good few thousand of people in our mini league now, but this is the kind of mini league of our guests and presenters. So you can see there at the top, Stephen McInerney.
Yes.
And then is FG. Oh, no way! I was like 1 point behind FG at one point, and he's managed to open a 26-point gap on me. Sean Wright Phillips. And then in 5th, the Pest.
The Pest.
Dicky!
I know.
Well done.
It's a competition between me and little Sean, though. I've got to get ahead of him.
Oh,
good
really?
Week, though. Good week, and then you never know. That's getting close now at the top.
Little Sean's taking it serious, you know. I've seen him a few times. He's studying it.
He's got to get a life. Every time I speak to him, it's all he talks about.
This is honestly the first time I've ever played it, genuinely.
Is it?
I've blagged this, I'm not kidding. But I didn't know what triple captain meant, and I used it in the first week of the game, first ever week. But Haaland was my captain, so he got 2 against West Ham anyway, so it didn't matter. But I'm very happy about that, because there's some literal...
Somebody else that takes it seriously who's been quiet is Julian, by the way. Just thought I'd put it out there.
Wow, Julian had a great week last week. Look at that, 83. Julian had the most points of anybody in the last game week, but he's still stinking bottom of the league. Nadem takes it more seriously than he's letting on as well, you know. definitely. And
very quiet, hasn't he?
To be fair to Steve Howie, I don't think he's got a clue. We just signed him up to it and told him to pick a team.
He's got to play the lads as well, to be fair, which is great.
He's always asking questions, Stephen, in the group chat about how to do things.
Yes.
Yeah, bless him.
We do have a pretty active group chat on it as well. Well, pretty active. Some of them. Like, I've not seen Jolie in it, which is probably because he is bottom of the league. So, in terms of fantasy football, I mentioned I have most of those there. I think I'm doing well because I have most of those that were nominated for August. In terms of key players that you've got in your team, have you got Kevin De Bruyne first of all?
KDB, Haaland. I knew Jesus would do well, and Martinelli as well. Those guys for me. Also, Zaha's had a great start to the season, so I've got all those guys. And like Trent's let me down. Alexander-Arnold I thought was a no-brainer, but he's had a really poor start to the season, so no points there. But yeah, KDB and Haaland. Like, Haaland's the captain every single week because he has to be.
So you had a screamer in game week 6, Paul. You brought in Ivan Toney.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe you brought him in on the week that he got a hat-trick and 17 points.
Inside info.
He did it.
Yeah. Brentford.
Hold on a minute. Your son's at Brentford.
It might be, yeah. It might be. So.
What did you tell you? Daddy's scoring a hat-trick this weekend.
Yeah. You tell him to put the lottery on if you're going to be doing that.
You must have been pretty smug after that.
I was, but do you know what? I'm delighted for him, getting his England call up as well, because he's been fantastic for them since he went in. I've kept him in this week as well, because I think Brentford could cause Arsenal a few problems tomorrow.
Oh.
The one that I've kept in, who's been brilliant for me, is Zaha as well. I know he's not playing this weekend. And then I've got KDB, Haaland captain, and Phil Foden, so they're all playing today. So.
And you've got Haaland?
Yeah, captain.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to. Anybody that didn't start with Haaland must be really kicking it. Another player that's done really well. So I don't have Ivan Toney. I am considering it, but I do have Martinelli, who's had a great start as well to the season. Total of 20 shots is more than any other midfielder in fantasy this season.
That was for me. He was down as a midfielder. I knew he'd get a few goals up front, so I thought I'll have him as a midfielder.
You've taken him out?
Yeah. So I think Brentford will beat Arsenal tomorrow.
Oh, I think he'll still probably score though. Probably like 4 or something like that. You know what I mean?
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is a right shout.
Yeah. I reckon you got a point there. Like, could happen.
So have you got Gabriel Jesus?
No.
No, okay.
Yeah, so Toney and Haaland, my front two.
I'm thinking I'm going to wildcard, during this. And also, of course, I'm sure you've both got Erling Haaland. I've got Erling Haaland, captain every single week. I made the silliness at the start of the season by thinking, just to make myself different from everybody else, I'll captain KDB, and then everybody else was captaining Haaland, and then he got 2 hat-tricks. So now it's a Haaland captain every week, right?
Every week. He's going to play as well. I think we all thought he was...
Our triple captain on the one game he didn't score.
Oh, really?
Bournemouth game.
Oh, unlucky.
So you've both already used your triple captains?
Yeah.
I mean, I got a brace, so that was all right. Okay. I presume that's pretty decent.
Yeah, I haven't used any, so I'm in third. I haven't used any of my chips yet. I know that FG's already used his bench boost as well, so I'm in there. And also, by the way, in our WhatsApp group, you'll all love this. I'm trying to be like the pest. And did you see the way that totally threw FG?
What did you do?
When I was psyching him out when we played Newcastle, and then he took Trippier out of his team because I'd psyched him out.
He just chucked a little spanner in the works there in the bit, didn't he?
Oh
yeah. He lost his head.
He's only young, he's naive,
Yeah.
He'll learn.
Oh yeah, that is half my plan for the FBL with this mini league is to just psych them all out and then sneak in. So that is FBL. Of course, we do have our dedicated FBL show as well, presented by RFG, that you can check out as well. And do join our mini league. So thank you so much for sending in all of your questions for us. Loads have come in as well, so we do appreciate it. We do love hearing from you. It is your show. So we're going to start off with a question from Alice. What are your thoughts about Manchester City's youth dominating the under-21s for England?
It's great. It was 6 players, I think it was. Oh, load of loanies there. I can't remember all the names, but I think Tommy Doyle's there, Harwood Bellis. I've forgotten who. McAtee's there as well. There's a few more. Cole Palmer. Yeah, it's great. I mean, it used to be. Who else? Mbete, yeah. It used to be that. Oh, and James Trafford as well, I think, isn't it? So it used to be that we used to look at the other side of town and they'd have all the players there. But this City generation of young players, I mean, they're either, hopefully they'll come back, but they're going to have a phenomenal career either way. And look, I think that's credit to the City Football Academy as well, because they're giving these young players, a career and probably going to be at the highest level. Tommy Doyle right now is having a wonderful season, by the way. Like Sheffield United, top of the league, and he's playing at the heart midfield for him. Hopefully he's a Premier League player next season with City, but if not Sheffield United, that'd be great.
Love that, absolutely love that. 7 City players in the England under-21s team. So we've got a question from David MCFC as well, who says, do you think City would rather win the Champions League or the Premier League, or do you think we'll just be going for everything?
Going for everything. I think we do every season,
Yeah.
I think even with the Carabao Cup, Pep's always put out strong teams. He's always respected it, but other clubs don't. I think they treat the Carabao Cup as a benchmark to push them on for the end of the season. You know, when
I love the Carabao
get to Wembley. I do.
Yeah.
You know, trip to Wembley, won that, and then obviously the FA Cup. But as in, would they prioritise the Premier League over the Champions League? I generally think that they want to win both. Well, they do want to win both. Premier League at the start of the season, Pep always says, is the most important one. We keep talking about the Champions League and how close we're getting to it. I say it every year. I think we're going to win the Champions League, so maybe I shouldn't say it this year.
I think this is the year, man.
I genuinely
believe
do.
it.
And that, what happened the other night there with Erling, I think that could have been the difference going into the Champions League this year.
You think about the Real Madrid game, and I feel like in that first leg when we should have been...
He would have scored 4 goals.
He would have scored, yeah. He's got at very least a brace in that game. And to me, he's the difference. He's the killer instinct, you know, and we've needed that for an awful long time. And I don't think we prioritise one or the other either. I think, say we had 2 big games, whichever's first is the one that we put our effort into, and then if it's beat the Premier League or the Champions League, they're going to take the next game the most seriously, always.
That's the mentality, and it always has been. It's the next game, let's win the next game and go on after that. But going back to Erling as well, it's obvious his goals, it's stating it, but his movement and dragging defenders around everywhere else to create the space for the Fodens, the Bruynes, the Grealish, the Mahrez, the Gundogan, Bernardo Silva. You know, he's occupying 2 or 3 defenders on his own all the time. So even if he's not getting the chances, the spaces are going to be there for everybody else.
Love it, love it. Fab question. Thank you very much, David. OK, the next one's coming from Mohammed, who says, "Hi, Paul. I'm Mohammed from Liberia." Wow, amazing, Mohammed. Welcome from Liberia. Do you believe that Haaland will score more than 40 goals in all competitions this season?
Hi, Mohammed. If you look at his 10 goals in 6 games, if you average that out, then yes, it's got to be. But look, as long as he's scoring, he'll definitely get 30 goals. Yeah. You know, if we keep him fit, definitely. I think the Premier League record's Salah, is it 32 or 33? I think he could smash that out the ballpark if he stays fit.
Yeah. What do you make of all this conversation that we keep hearing? I feel like people are desperately trying to attempt to find a negative in his game, and the only one that they're trying to pull up is that he doesn't have a lot of touches. Does that matter? Did you have a lot of touches?
I had a lot of touches but didn't score any goals or anywhere near as much goals as that was.
You scored the one that mattered.
Yeah, no, but it doesn't bother him. That's, you know, saying that before, Natalie. He makes runs and he doesn't get the ball. And usually centre forwards, when they keep making runs, they throw their arms in the air or they'll get frustrated. And you look at him and he's just so calm all the time. You know, and it won't bother him one little bit, or his teammates, or Pep, or anybody at the club, if he's the least touches in the game, but he ends up scoring goals like he's doing at the minute.
Do you remember the Liverpool game, the Community Shield, when he missed that chance last minute and he just turned around and smiled at the wall? That was the moment when things changed. At that moment there, he was like, you know, this doesn't bother me in the slightest, you know. That was like, oh, you're not ready for what's about to come. And it's got to the point now where I'd be probably vaguely disappointed if he didn't hit 40 goals in all competitions, given his record so far.
I think the biggest thing is going to be, if he doesn't score, people are going to be so surprised.
Yeah.
If he doesn't score in a game, everybody's going to be like, what's happened there? Because Haaland's not scored.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I still go back to those people that were questioning after that Community Shield game, and I just think, how silly do you feel now?
Great.
OK, our final question for just now has come from Francisco, and he says, "Love that Pep is backing Grealish. Do you think there's a chance we'll see Grealish play more narrow and allow Cancelo to overlap more often?" What do you think, Stephen?
I think what makes Cancelo so effective in that left-back role is the fact that he does like to drift in field. I think it's a bit of a shame that he maybe isn't quite as comfortable on his left foot, meaning that Grealish does have to do a lot out wide. So I can't fully see it personally. I'm not sure about you, Paul.
I think it'll be the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, I think Jack will keep his width and make the pitch really big, and that then allows Cancelo to come inside. I mean, we say he's a left back, he plays like a central midfielder half the time anyway. You know, so naturally he wants to come in on his right foot, but he wants to get in that position. And Jack wants to stay out wide to get himself in one-on-one position. So I think rather than Jack coming inside and Cancelo going on the overlap, I think it'll be the other way around. If
Gomez plays, then maybe we'll see Grealish cutting then. Yeah, because Gomez is a left foot, so maybe he could do that for him. But yeah, I think we'll have to see a lot more of Grealish out wide.
In terms of Cancelo positionally, you know, nearly playing in midfield there, we actually spoke to the man himself this week to find out from Joao Cancelo about the position, the inverted fullback. Here is a little bit of a taster from Joao Cancelo's masterclass.
E agora, para acabar, João, essas são as estatísticas do ano passado. Para mim, foi muito interessante ver, porque, olha só, você ficou em top 3 do time inteiro nas chances importantes criadas. Mais do que os delanteiros, né, cara? Isso me impressionou bastante. Passes também, você deu mais passes que o Rodri, porque o Rodri é o cara que mais toca na bola e tal. Você ficou acima dele. Dribles, você driblou mais do que os nossos atacantes, cara.
Assim, também fui o que tive mais minutos, ou seja...
Mais que o Ederson.
Isso também ajudou bastante a que tivesse o resto destas características. Mas assim, é como eu digo, eu sou um jogador que gosta de atacar, adoro atacar. E isto é um reflexo disso. Claro que estar, por exemplo, nas chances criadas com o De Bruyne e o Phil é uma coisa, claro que é espetacular, porque tanto o Phil como o Kevin são jogadores muito criativos, dos mais criativos do mundo, e eu estar ali como defesa, claro que é bom. A nível de passes, a nossa equipa faz muitos passes durante o jogo, também damos muitos toques na bola, cada jogador dá muitos toques na bola, e eu acho que isso também tem a ver com as características da equipa e os dribles completos. Eu acho que eu adoro driblar também, visto sendo um defesa, adoro driblar, e eu acho que é uma das boas características que eu tenho. Mas também me surpreende, estando ali com o Sterling e com o Bernardo, que são dois jogadores tecnicamente muito evoluídos. Claro que é bom. E eu acho que o nosso segredo não tem a ver só com uma posição, tem a ver com a harmonia que nós temos e com a sintonia que temos enquanto equipa. Eu acho que somos uma equipa muito completa em todos os níveis do jogo. Temos jogadores de qualidade imensa em todas as posições do terreno de jogo, e eu acho que é isso que nos faz também sempre chegarmos a um nível alto. As coisas que nós temos feito nos últimos anos não é para qualquer equipa. Mesmo não tendo, por exemplo, ganho a Champions League, mas chegámos a uma final, chegámos a uma meia-final e perdendo da forma que perdemos, eu acho que ganhar 4 Premier Leagues em 5 anos, eu ganhei 2, mas os meus colegas que estão aqui, muitos deles ainda estão aqui, ganharam 4 nos últimos 5 anos, que é muito difícil. Já não se via um domínio aqui em Inglaterra há muito tempo assim, e eu acho que só prova a qualidade dos nossos jogadores e a qualidade da nossa equipe. This was my masterclass.
Joao Cancelo's masterclass. You have to watch the full video on the City app now. It's absolutely wonderful to just hear him talking about the position himself and to see all of those absolutely incredible stats. I had no idea, and it appears he had no idea either, that he played the most minutes out of anybody, more than Ederson, in our squad last season. I mean, Joao Cancelo, Paul, we were just chatting there while we were watching it. As you just said, what a bargain. What an incredible bargain of the century.
I know people don't talk about it. You know, and obviously Danilo going to Juventus, and I think it was 30 million we paid for him. You know, he's world class, and you know, talking about masterclass there, he gives us a masterclass nearly every single week that he plays in, and it's his, you know, the flexibility that he's got. You know, whether he's right back, left back, but more often than not, he's dictating play for us. You know, and nobody would talk about the wonderful ball he put in the other night there, but it doesn't surprise anybody. You know, technically he's. And this is a big statement, he's got to be one of the best players at the club.
Yeah,
you know, and then he's talking about having Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, all these players in front of him that's allowing him to go and do it. And I find it really hard to call him a fullback, you know, because he's not.
No, he's not.
You know, he's a winger. He's the other season there at Newcastle when he bobs up in the number 10 area and sticks it in the top corner.
Just a footballer, isn't he? A pure footballer, pure Cruyff, like total football.
And you can tell he loves playing football as well. You know, he's got super high standards, and technically he's got to be one of the best, if he is a defender, in the world.
Have you ever come across a player like him before that can play in this new, in whatever you want to call it, inverted fullback position?
Not really. I think you've got to give Alexander Zinchenko a little bit of credit, because he's done it a few times over the last couple of years and done it well. And no disrespect to him, but Joao Cancelo is at a completely different level. You know, he scores goals, and it doesn't surprise anybody. You know, no disrespect to John Stones, I think we're all a bit surprised when he scored from a full-back area, but he seems to do it. He creates, but then he always seems to get back in defensively as well, and that how adaptive as he is, you know, whether it's left back, right back, just popping up all over the pitch. You know, he's got to be one of the best in the world.
Can you put into words, Stephen, for somebody that may have never known a new defensive position, what is an inverted full-back?
I guess it's what he does with the ball and without the ball. What a quick aside, by the way, is that he literally wasn't this player when he came to Man City. That's what I love about him. He's changed his role so much. He was an overlapping fullback, traditional, but he's taken this to water. Basically, is so suited for it. But basically, his role is to sit alongside Rodri. You know, the back four becomes a back three. He sits alongside Rodri and kind of gets into those pockets that you would associate with, you know, David Silva or someone like that, like a false eight kind of role. And essentially just creates from that half space just in front of the box. It's just a full-back but who cuts in, basically, and acts as a midfielder. And it takes a certain level of football intelligence to do that. You know, many people can try it, but Guardiola gives it to certain players that you can trust. You know, Philipp Lahm at Barcelona, a genius of a footballer. And, you know, Dani Alves had a slightly different approach on it, but he would be allowed to drift in field because he had the technical ability at Barcelona to do it as well. And, like, for example, he asked, Jordi Alba just to stay wide at Barcelona. So it's not necessarily a left-sided thing. It's if the player is suitable to do it. You have to have such an incredible understanding of the space around you. You know, being able to adapt to different roles and different instructions depending on where you are on the pitch and if your team's got the ball or not. It just requires a really, really high footballing IQ, and that's what Cancelo's got. And I agree with you as well, Paul, that I think he's one of the best at the club. Do you remember we played Swindon last season? I remember he was actually the one that it made them look like a lower league team for me. I remember his technique in that game, it just looked on another level to anyone else, and that's despite people like Kevin De Bruyne playing that game. And Cancelo, he's magic, and I think he's actually getting better. I think he's adapted to that role even more as well. Yeah,
he really does seem to be. Paul, how does his position differ when he is in defensive duties or when he's in attacking mode?
You don't see him in defensive duties that much. I think that's the beauty of it, because we dominate the ball that much, and you know, 9 times out of 10 he's involved in all our attacks. So, but the one thing he is very, very quick in his recovery runs. Yeah. You know, so if the ball does break down, but then 9 times out of 10 when it does break down, it's usually in the attacking third. You know, so the team's still got time to get back into their shape and do that. And as I say, because he's that quick, he gets back in and gets in his defensive role. He's very good 1v1. I don't think he actually, if he's been honest, likes the defensive side of the game because he's that good going forward. You know, he wants to get in the ball, he wants to create, and he wants to give the ball to all the wonderful players that he was talking about in that clip. So the other thing is he's playing out of position. You know, and he's playing out of position in another position, if that makes any sense. You know, he has a right back. You know, Stephen rightly said he was more of a right-back overlapping.
I thought we had a wing-back when we came in. Yeah. You know, when he joined, all the clips of him online looked like a guy who's just traditional, got wide. Look, your old-school Capus and people like that, you know, bombarding forward.
Getting the crosses in and everything else. And
he's different now.
And it's huge credit to the coaching staff, but to him, that he's adapted so well to it. And as I keep saying it, you know, he's world-class in that position.
I think we do think of him as a left-back as soon as we think of him. Have you got a preference, Paul? Do you prefer him at the left or the right?
I prefer him on the left, and I actually think he does as well, because he does come inside into that midfield area. It's more natural for him to come in his right foot. You know, and when he's in attacking, you know, we've seen it, whether it's he's coming in his right foot to put the cross in or that ridiculous ball he put in the other right there with the outside of his foot. I think it's more natural nowadays in the modern game. It's very similar to Jack and Phil. They prefer playing wide on the opposite side so they can come inside or they can go either way. And I think he prefers doing it in the left-back position than he does in the right. He's more limited because if he comes inside onto his left, 9 times out of 10 he's right back, he wants to come back onto his right and go and do it. But when he's in the left, he can go either way.
I think he's essential as well, given how much City play and given how teams play against us, because they all sit back and defend with 8, 9, 10 people behind the ball. That you have to have someone who essentially can do what David Silva did or Gundogan did at left back. It's really weird that we need that extra number because we have to overload a certain side because the way that we break teams down, well, until this season, we can just whip it to Haaland. It used to be little one touch, you know, a little bit of movements here and there in the box and try and make a little bit of space for a cutback or whatever. So we needed that extra technical ability because, you know, it was really hard to break teams down. So we needed someone with his football IQ. And And that's what makes Cancelo unique, I guess, because you've got quality players, but he has a really, really important role in this team. Really important role because he essentially allows us an extra attacker while being a defender at the same time. And obviously football's gone that way, but not anyone can do that, and hence why Guardiola loves him.
I don't think there's another fullback in the world, right or left, that could do the job that Cancelo does for this team.
Do you think we're going to start to see people trying? Because, obviously, the way with Ederson, we've seen him almost redefine the goalkeeper position. We're seeing everybody tries to play it out from the back now. Do you think we're going to start seeing more and more inverted fullbacks, or is it too difficult?
I think it's too difficult. One, you have to have keep talking about football IQ, intelligence. And I'm nothing against defenders. I've not always got that football IQ. Defenders a lot of the time.
It's changing now. Game's changing.
Yeah, no, it is. But if you look at all the top fullbacks in the world, in the Premier League or in Europe, I don't think there's one that could go in and do the job that he does.
Again, you've got to go on and watch this Joao Cancelo's masterclass on the app and on the website now. It genuinely is a brilliant. It's about 12 minutes long. It is well worth it. It's a fascinating watch on what an incredible player. Now, if you're just joining us on Matchday Live, a big welcome. Thank you so much. Here is the starting 11 for Manchester City for today's game. So you can see it is Ederson, Stones, Diaz, Akanji, Cancelo, Rodri, Silva, De Bruyne, Foden, Grealish, and of course Erling Haaland. 3 changes from the team that beat Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League on Wednesday night. Erling Haaland there starting again. And I feel like, I don't want to jinx it, but I feel like it's getting to the point where my friends are going to me, well, how many is he going to score today?
2.
Do you think? Imagine just people. Is there any pressure on him now, do you think, Paul? Because there is that kind of presumption. Well, how many goals is he going to score today?
The only pressure would be the pressure he puts on himself.
Yeah.
He's for somebody so young, he's so mentally strong. Very, very humble. Great kid, but he will put pressure on himself to score goals. But he's done it everywhere he's done. You look at that there, but you look at his record from Molde. You look at his record to Dortmund, you look at his record for Norway, you look at his record in the Champions League. It's not just this season, or the first 10 games of this season.
It's everywhere.
6, 7 games. It's everywhere, but he believes he's going to score, so I don't think outside pressure will get to him.
I don't think he feels it, does he, at
No.
all? I think for pressure to work, you have to feel it, and I just don't think he cares about anything. I mean, there's nothing that he should be scared of in the world. He's 6'5" and built like a Viking, as fast as an Olympic sprinter. Football's easy for him, and life's easy for him.
The top players, the best players in the world, the only pressure they want is the pressure they put on themselves to succeed and do their best.
Well, I mean,
he's already doing that at 22.
Succeeding in his first 6 games as well, equalling the record there set by Mick Quinn for the most goals scored in your first 6 Premier League appearances, 10 there, and then if you look there to 8 by our Sergio, I remember at the time just thinking that was absolutely insane. 8 by Wolves' Diego Costa, who isn't in the squad today, and then 7 for Jurgen Klinsmann. What an incredible record. We just couldn't have imagined anything more. What do you make of this kind of roster there, Paul?
It is, it's sensational. You look at Mickey Quinn going back to the, I think, early 90s it was, and you would think that would never get beat. 10 goals in 6 games, it's incredible. But the most incredible thing about it is we're not really that surprised. No. When we brought him in, this is what he was brought in to do. And this, more than anything else, this is what he wanted to do. He wants to come in here, not just score goals. He wants to win titles, but he wants to break records as well.
I did down to score 40 Premier League goals this season.
Before the season?
Yeah. And I always felt like he's going to redefine what we thought goal scoring was in the Premier League. But I honestly believe that because I think he's more than a game player, and I think we're seeing proof of that already. And if you give him chances, he will score more than a goal a game. If he plays 40 games, he'll score 45 goals. If he plays 50 games, he'll score 55 goals. I think it's that simple for him.
I saw somebody...
Talking about pressure, you've just put a load more on him there.
He doesn't care what anyone thinks. He doesn't care what anyone thinks.
I saw someone saying this week the only team that have silenced him this so far this season have been Bournemouth, but then obviously we scored loads of goals in the Bournemouth game.
He got an assist as well, didn't he?
And he got an assist. So even in that one game where he didn't score, he contributed so much to the team because obviously so many players were dragged. Maybe he didn't score because they had so many players on him which left the room.
Yeah, it does, and it'll be interesting how opposition managers talk about him before the game. Because you can say keep a high line, you can man mark him, you can drop deep. But if you look at his goals, he just pops up and he's there all the time. He can't defend against the instinct, the natural instinct he's got in front of goal. You know, and people say it's a little bit of luck if the ball drops to you in the 6-yard box.
It is not lucky with me.
10 goals in 6 games is not luck.
I don't care where he scores them from as well. I do think people are just trying to nitpick. They're just trying to find anything. They just need to hold their hands up, don't they, Stephen, and just say, he's phenomenal, let's just all enjoy it.
They're all scared, Natalie. They're just absolutely terrified because...
I think that's the biggest story. That's the biggest thing, even if I'm speaking to Man United fans or Chelsea fans or Liverpool fans or Arsenal fans. They're not saying he's lucky. They're all like, he's ridiculous. How do we stop him? You know, they appreciate how good he is, opposition team.
My wife showed me a TikTok of some woman winding up a fella who walked in.
I saw it!
I was like, he scored 4 already. How has he scored 4 in this many? And he was furious, and he was a United fan. And she was winding up saying, well, United should sign better players. And I was like, I like that lady.
I loved that. Loved that video. I laughed so much.
There's pure fear and it's honesty as well. Like, what he's doing isn't normal, but then he's not a normal person. That's what I love about him.
But, oh, gosh, yes, we love him. We are blessed. We are blessed to be able to watch him.
And he's blue as well, which is the best thing about it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Stephen's had a picture on the Haaland couch this morning as well, by the way. He's very happy with himself doing exactly the same pose there. Thank you so much for sending in your WhatsApp questions. We've got about 10 minutes left until kick-off, so I'm going to try and get through a couple more of them now. So we've got a question from the Bills. The Bills on Jesus. OK. Do you think Man City is giving Alvarez the time he deserves? That's as compared to his quality. Yes,
at the minute. I think he is, you know, and he's contributing every time he comes on the pitch. I think people forget he's, we said at the start, he's a young boy, he's 21, I think. You know, he's
22, 22. Yeah.
You know, he's came from South America and he's settled, I think. He deserves a lot of credit for how he's come in and he's settled in. You know, Pep speaks super highly of him. But we all know in this Manchester City, whether you're Kevin De Bruyne or Bernardo Silva didn't start the other night there, Phil Foden didn't start the other night there. You know, all 3 of them came on, including Alvarez, and made a huge impression. So the best thing about this team, season after season, is the squad depth that they've got. You know, it's sensational, and he'll have a huge part to play. Yeah,
and the thing is as well, he did play through as well at River Plate, so he hasn't had a mid-season, he hasn't had any break whatsoever, and we forget that. Even though he's only 20, 21, 22, he's only young still. He's only human, you know. He's played an awful lot of football, and he came straight from the end of the season over there and starting here. I think his English is relatively limited still, so he's still learning a new language and he's still adapting to his teammates. And even I want to see him on the pitch more, but I understand there's a relative hierarchy, so to speak. You can't just drop Grealish, Mahrez, people that have won you those trophies and whatever. He's going to have to learn a little bit and watch and be patient, and I'm sure come the end of the season we'll see him play an awful lot more.
He'll have a huge part to play.
Yeah, massive part. He looks brilliant as well.
He looks incredible from the cameos and the time that we've seen. He does look incredible, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing more of him. We've had another question in from Kerstic Rodsman. Sorry if I have pronounced that wrong. Did Hummels for Dortmund demonstrate the best way to stop Haaland? He had a very good game other than Haaland's goal.
Oh, no.
He said it himself, didn't he?
Said
he didn't stop me, yeah.
That was a great interview after the game, wasn't it?
I loved that.
Stones his face, he was just like... Amazing.
I adore his interviews. I don't want him to change, unless I'm interviewing him, of course. But apart from that, I don't want him to change because, they said that to him and he just said, well, I scored, didn't I?
I don't think they stopped him. We just didn't really give him much service. And as simple as that, really. His runs were good, his movement was good, his hold-up play was good. It's just...
Hummels is a top defender. He has been for years and years, and his experience, obviously knowing the way Erling plays and everything else, he would have thought we've got the better of him, but he would have known as well that it would have only have took one chance.
Yeah.
One chance. And
that was not even a chance either, really, let's be honest. It's a speculative cross, and look what he does.
I like that speculative cross, and he manages to get his leg higher than...
As you were saying earlier, no one else gets to that in world football, and he does it because he's Erling Haaland, and he's brilliant. And just a quick reminder for you now, you can, of course, listen to today's game with Alistair Mann and Michael Brown. You'll get that on the City app. So you've got about 7 minutes until kick-off now, so get it downloaded quickly. It is the best place to get all of your Manchester City commentary. So a few minutes away from kick-off now, gents. Paul, what is your kind of final thoughts today? Playing a team defensively strong, also doesn't score a lot of goals. What are you kind of thinking is going to happen today?
I'd be very surprised if Wolves come after us. They tried to do that the game at the end of the season, and and KDB get his hat-trick. They left themselves really open. So I'm expecting it to be a tight game. It's going to be imperative, as Pep always says, that we keep the ball moving. But at the end of the day, teams can only sustain that for so long in a game, and I'm looking for a fast start. And it's a difficult place to go, but I really fancy us for a comfortable win today.
A comfortable win? Oh, Paul Dickov, you're always the most optimistic person I know, Stephen.
I think I'm with Paul, actually. I think today they're going to be... I feel like it'll end up comfortable. He might be a little bit slow at the start. The players look relaxed anyway in the tunnel there.
Helps.
But I think Erling will grab a brace. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Man City win today, I reckon.
3-1, that's what I said before the game, Paul.
Yeah.
That was funny. And Sarr, the goalkeeper, just went up to Kevin as if to say, don't do that again.
How dare you? How dare you?
I love that. I'm going to go clean sheet 3-0.
Clean sheet, 3-0. Oh, my goodness.
I like that, actually. Maybe you're right, actually. I think Paul might be right.
And of course, if we win today, because we are playing first, we would go back to the top of the Premier League, which is always a nice message to send out before everybody else has played.
Absolutely. And get into the international break as well. You know, it's really important, I think, for everybody that you go into that break on a high and a comfortable win.
It's the right team as well, I think. We picked a good team for this, with control, a bit of energy, a bit of vibrancy with Bernardo, and obviously Foden on the right. Grealish, not that he has something to prove in the camp, but the perception will be of the outside. He'll want to prove people wrong. You question him, so I think he'll be
going
up for this.
to Wolves as well.
The Midlands.
Yes,
oh, yeah,
the Midlands.
Of course, he's a Villa boy.
Right, well, the teams are coming out there. Get yourselves over now, if you're not already on the Manchester City app, to listen to the wonderful commentary from Alistair Mann and Michael Brown. Thank you for joining us on Matchday Live. Thank you to Paul and thank you to Stephen. As always, we will be back at half-time to talk about everything that happens in the first 45 minutes. We'll see you then.